So Chris Paul trying to stay with Steph. Steph got in the lane, put it in and drew the foul.
Look, he's chirping. Look, he's talking to him. He can't guard me.
Yeah, that's Stephen Curry trash-talking his now teammate Chris Paul in 2023, saying this ain't 2014 no more. But what happened in 2014? Chris Paul and the Clippers won in 7 games against the Warriors, which had its own fair share of controversy. For years, we've seen Curry and Paul be the biggest rivals on the court, along with clear motivation and pettiness off the court. Both have been battling for over a decade. There's history between the two that's got fans so shook, so let's dive deep. What is up, dudes, that's ballers players? It's your boy MJ. What timeline we're in? But what if I told you, despite the animosity between the two that we'll get to, Curry and Paul started out as student teacher. Steph Curry grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Chris Paul was the best point guard in the league and was also from North Carolina. Paul was literally a role model. In 2008, LeBron held a summer camp with college stars like Harden and Curry. One of the guests that came was Chris Paul, a mentor. No one believed in Curry when he got drafted in 2009 as a skinny guard that Reggie Miller said,
"Do not rely on him to run your team."
But in the summer of 2009, Curry worked out with Paul and then vacationed together at Disney World. In Curry's own words,
he was a great mentor when it came to understanding how a guy on his level prepared over the summer for an NBA season. Disciplined he was, his kind of work ethic, and I got to see that firsthand after summer league through the beginning of the season, and obviously got a Carolina connection.
Curry even attended Chris Paul's 2010 summer camp as a guest. This wasn't a rivalry, this was a friendship that would become so much worse once Curry became an all-star, starting with the Warriors-Clippers battle in 2014. Chris Paul was first-team All-NBA 3 years in a row. He was the best point guard in the NBA, but Curry was just starting to make some noise. In 2013, he erupted for an iconic 54 points in Madison Square Garden, hitting ridiculous threes, and in 2014 became a first-time All-Star, averaging 24.5 points, 8.5 assists, and let's just say Curry and Paul were starting to get compared a little bit. They would get compared a whole lot more later on, so when the Warriors and Clippers faced off in the 2014 playoffs, Clippers forward Matt Barnes said it was kind of almost like a little brother situation. The Warriors were the clear underdogs, yet shocked the NBA community when their three-point style got them game 1. Chris pulled his hamstring in game 1, which would limit him a bit. Throughout the series, Curry and Chris Paul would battle it out, leading to a tight game 3. Young Curry playmaking was different, man. But so was Lob City. These guys did not like each other. Green and Jordan got into it, Iguodala was dunking. Damn, people really forget. Chris Paul hits a clutch 3 with 2.5 minutes left. Curry hits this deep one over Griffin. And on the last possession with 7 seconds left, Curry takes a step back and looks like he got hit on the 3 and air balls, but no call. After a game, Curry felt like he got fouled, saying, obviously the officials didn't feel like that, so I'm not gonna complain. I thought if a guy is going up to shoot the ball and you have a forearm body contact on the jump, that's usually a foul. The Warriors would continue to battle, but the Clippers would win in 7 grueling games. But throughout that series, Curry proved that Paul could not guard him. And quietly, actually not so quietly, the Warriors had put the world on notice. And more importantly, Curry was motivated to beat Chris Paul once and for all. And next season, well, that's when all hell broke loose. Stephen Curry and the Warriors took the next step, going 67-15, and their games with the Clippers were iconic. Steph Curry was doing things we had never seen, especially against Chris, including crossing him up without even looking at him. And that wasn't the only play against CP3. Steph had so many ridiculous plays against CP3 that Sports Illustrated put a top 5 list together. And considering that Chris was one of the best defensive point guards in the NBA at the time, the internet went crazy. Them State Farm memes.
What the?
Sorry, CP3. These highlights can't tell the full story, right? The Warriors would go 3-1 in their matchups and Curry would become an MVP. MVP, something that Chris Paul never did. But despite Curry being on top of the world, the matchup was actually a bit more equal than you would think. Paul averaged 19.5 and 9 in those matchups, while Curry put up 20 and 5. Highlight plays, but maybe not the most Curry dominate. But Curry would do something that Paul still dreams of to this day: winning an NBA championship. There were still debates for who was the best point guard, but what happened next is when it all changed. The Warriors would be nearly unstoppable, and Stephen Curry, well, he simply had one of the best single seasons in NBA history, dropping 40-point games on the regular and 3 quarters, making over 400 threes in a season. Curry would average 30 points a game on 50% from the field, 45% from 3, and 91% from the free throw line. The Warriors would go 73 and 9, and Curry would win the first ever unanimous MVP. The Clippers were still really good. Chris Paul was averaging 19 and 10, but the Warriors would win every matchup, even if they were close. And while they ran through the West, the Clippers would lose in the first round. The Warriors might not have been light years ahead of everyone else, but they seemed light years ahead of the Clippers. And Curry was now undisputedly the best point guard in the league, in conversations for the best player in the league. And that might have been a tipping point. All of this tension between the two would really start to show in the next few years through trash talk and pettiness that we're about to talk about. Because just when he thought it was all over, Chris Paul would get traded to the Houston Rockets and reignite the rivalry. A fake laugh at Steve Kerr, why?
Great fake laugh here.
And a matchup in the Western Conference Finals against the Curry-Durant Warriors. The Rockets actually had the better record in the regular season, and while they weren't exactly Chris Paul's team, the matchup was intriguing. It was thought of as a clash of the titans, and Paul would have his moments, breaking Curry's ankles in Game 1. The series was back and forth. In Game 3, Steph Curry puts on a show against Harden, hits this deep 3, and shimmies. In Game 5, CP3 hits an insane 3 over Curry and shimmies at Curry, staring right at him. Yeah, he was done with all this shit over the years. But Paul would get hurt in Game 5, and even though the Rockets were up 3-2, they lose both Game 6 and 7. 27 missed threes is still why. And Curry wins another ring. It was a hard pill for Paul to swallow. Steph even beat CP3 in Family Feud that summer.
Oh, man.
And next season, Paul would deliberately try to sabotage Curry off the court. The Rockets and Warriors would meet again in the 2019 playoffs, and KD got hurt in the middle of Game 5. But the Warriors survived that game. Game 6 without Durant would be another chance for Paul to make the finals for the first time. But the night before Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, Curry wanted to get some shots up at the Rockets arena and book the court. But Chris Paul found out, got to the arena first, and decided to take the court himself. So when Curry arrived, Paul was already there and wouldn't get off. Even when Curry offered to each take half a court, CP3 said no, and Curry got kicked off. Game 6 starts, and Curry cannot make a shot, ending the first half with 0 points, and Twitter went in. Curry read Twitter and came out swinging. Layup, midi, 3. I mean, he was hitting clutch 3 after clutch 3, ending the game with 33 points to win, and said, "Get me off the court again, boy. Go, referring to Chris Paul. Paul was the one that got kicked off and eliminated, this time fully healthy. So despite the Rockets being at full strength and the Warriors not, Curry got the best of Paul again. But here's where the pettiness would go up another level. In February of 2020, CP3 is doing an interview with Taylor Rooks and is asked to build the ultimate point guard, and here's what he said.
You could build like the ultimate point guard. Okay, you have to take attributes from different point guards to build that great one. Build it.
You know, I probably want D Rose's explosiveness, and then you got the different arms. So like one hand probably like Kyrie's finishes and all that, and then on the other hand, Shea Nice with the finishes. Like Steve Nash was a really good shooter. Russ.
Hold up, did you say Steve Nash for shooting and not Curry in the year of 2020? What? What? Okay. Chris Paul would get traded to the Thunder, then the Suns, gaining a reputation for making teams better. He would finally make the finals in 2021 while Curry and the Warriors dealt with several injuries. Paul would have good playoff performances until the NBA Finals, where he proceeded to have a generational stinker in Game 4, and despite moments of solid play, blow a 2-0 lead again. I'm glad he got over his addiction of making NBA Finals though. Sorry, CP3. Curry would win the Finals MVP in 2022, and seems like the rivalry is over, right? Not exactly, because on March 13, 2023, Paul's guarding Curry, fails, and Curry hits this and one, and he screams, "This ain't 2014 no more," referencing that 2014 playoff series and potentially that no call at the end of Game 3. Chris claimed he doesn't know why, saying,
Nah, I don't know nothing about that 2014. I ain't trying to be funny. I promise I don't know. Y'all gotta ask him.
Curry said,
It's all competition. Play against somebody for so many years and the love I got for him because, our history and all that. So it's just competition, back and forth. Give it and take it.
and I'm just trying to make the best content for y'all, so subscribe, cause I'm always gonna dive deep. And now these two are teammates, and there's one big problem. The rivalry should be over. Curry made it a no contest, but the feelings still seem to be there. Now Curry and Paul are also the ultimate professionals. There's been nothing but good vibes since the trade. CP3 even said,
My wife was at his wedding. I think him and his wife was at our wedding.
and Curry just wants to win. But what happens when personalities clash? Draymond said,
I don't like CP at all. Like, we don't have a good relationship at all, but I respect his hustle and I respect his IQ. He's smart as hell.
when anything in the locker room goes a bit downhill, when Chris Paul, who will curse you out to get his point across, starts holding people accountable, and those are the same players that beat you continuously, the rivalry should be over. Or so we think. I guess we'll see. The all-day notification shout goes to Big Wiggy, who's on top of his game. Thanks for the all-day support. If you want to know the dark truth behind the Boston Celtics and why they can't win, there's a video right here. And if you're still here, you're a real one, so comment 2014 so I know. It's your boy MJ. We out. Bye.